I don't know if you checked, Byron. Cyril Ramaphosa thinks a very pressing issue in South Africa is to decolonize our education system because, according to him, it's like sort of too white, and we can't have that in Africa. It's
Yeah.
imperative that we decolonize it. I was under the impression we did already long ago.
Yeah, I thought we had decolonized it too. I mean, we've obviously still got pit toilet. We've obviously still got 30% pass rate. And obviously, we've seen all the protests and all the different universities around how roads must fall and all the other bullshit they come up with. But you know what else we also saw? Remember the hashtag science must fall? So I'm pretty sure we already decolonized the shit out of the education system.
Yeah, so he bemoaned like the Eurocentric model of education, which I think is the sort of only model of education because education is a Western concept. The first schools and
Mm.
teachers and mentors were sort of Christian Catholic priests for a long period of time, and then it became standardized, especially in Germany in the 19th century. So, I mean, it's like saying we want to do away with the Eurocentric version of AI. Well, it only comes from Eurocentrism. So how are you going to decouple it from where it comes from?
Do you remember a few years ago there was that like ANC minister who was even asking why our kids go to school to learn maths and science? She said it was like completely pointless, and what we should actually be doing is they should be like going to school and learning like agriculture and farming, because obviously that's the end thing in South Africa. That's what everybody wants to do, right? They want to grow up like raising chickens and some goats and cows. This is the ANC mindset, mate. Like everybody must go live back in the kraals, sit there raising cows and eating mud every day and having cholera, because anything outside of that is just like it's not acceptable, is it? Because that would be like racist and stuff. It would be like European mindsets.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that he wants to decolonize education and he said it in English, the lingua franca of Western imperialism. But I mean, really, the ChatGPT probably did write the tweet that we're referring to. Is Cyril the worst president we've ever had in this country? And I'm talking about ever. I think it might just be the case. Jacob Zuma was a bit fun. Thabo Mbeki had economic growth. Mandela was Mandela. But this guy, just irredeemable. I can't think of any good thing he has done ever as president of this country.
No, and I can't think of there's any one in his ministry that you'd sit back and go, these were good guys. Like everybody just seems in Cyril's cabinet, including Cyril, just seems freaking retarded, mate. Like there's retarded and then there's his cabinet. And hence why we call the country now Retardanistan. I think it's pretty fair, in my opinion. But, you got to look at it and say, when the guy says we don't want European-centric education systems, there's three options of what he means, right? The first is he doesn't want the scientific method, because obviously, as we know, the scientific method is, according to him, European-centric. I mean, you remember that tweet or that statement from the ANC guy, we won't stop until we find out where this lightning is coming from. Now, maybe that was a spoof, maybe it wasn't, who knows, but who cares? It's the very type of thing that the ANC would say, just because, superstition still comes out. That's why the ANC will say, you know how we fix South Africa? We like do ancestral callings and we ask the ancestors why they're upset with the country. These guys don't want the scientific method. The next thing they really don't want is they don't want Western capitalism. They don't want like John Locke's theories on government. They don't want Adam Smith's economic theories. But the one white guy they seem to be very happy, Karl Marx.
When you think about it, Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto is like basically the epitome of Eurocentric education. It was written by a white German Jew in London, of all places. And yet, this is the hero. This is the god of Africa, and especially of the ANC. So, when I say Cyril is like a ChatGPT president, I really do mean it. I don't think the guy has any idea of what's important. He has no idea about what people feel and think. It would be nice if people could read before you decide to decolonize an education, because if you can't even read for meaning at the age of 12, there's nothing to decolonize. There is no education in the first place to decolonize. But for him, that doesn't seem to matter.
So the last thing, Ramon, that he really could mean when he says that he wants to decolonize education is he wants to decolonize history. Maybe he feels in Africa we learn too much about World War II. Maybe he thinks we learn too much about the American Revolution. Maybe he just wants us to learn about, Shaka Zulu and Dingaan. But then, at the end of the day, one of the biggest problems we have in Africa is that there wasn't much of a recorded history. And even in the areas where recorded history was recorded, it was recorded by Europeans. But as we now know, apparently the blacks invented everything. Whites invented nothing. We just stole the credit for everything. I mean, I heard that on TV once, so it must be true. It's not that anybody's, even Cleopatra was black. I mean, we've seen that too, right? So maybe that's what he means by decolonization. Maybe he wants to get rid of science, get rid of economics, get rid of history. In which case, I've got to ask you, Ramon, what is there left to teach? What does the ANC want our kids to actually know? Any ideas?
All they want us to know is we was kings and built everything.